My girlfriend said, "My ex is staying in my life." I replied, "I choose option 3." Then I texted Tyler, met him for coffee, checked our shared banking app, found Venmo transfers, and stayed calm while she switched from tears to blame, right before a text from Derek changed everything. "Welcome back to WZ Tales." She said it so calmly, almost like a challenge. "My ex is staying in my life. Deal with it or leave." I smiled. "I choose option 3, I said quietly. The next day, I invited her ex to lunch without her. We talked over coffee. He told me things that made everything suddenly make sense. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just went home, packed her bags neatly, and left them by the door, waiting for her to come back to a silence she'd never forget. As you listen, think about what you would have done in my place. I'm 30 years old, and until 3 months ago, I thought I had my life figured out. I had been with my girlfriend for 2 years. We met through mutual friends at a rooftop party, and things moved fast. She was charming, confident, and good with people. She could walk into a room and make everyone pay attention. I fell for her hard. After 8 months, we moved in together. We split the rent on a decent apartment downtown and started talking about marriage in that vague someday kind of way. It felt serious. It felt stable, but there was always her ex. Let's call him Tyler. Tyler was never fully gone. There would be a text here, a coffee there, a phone call that somehow always ran long. She told me they had dated for 4 years, broke up on good terms, and stayed friends. I didn't love it, but I told myself I was being mature. I trusted her. Looking back, that was where I started talking myself out of my own instincts. The breaking point came on a Tuesday night. We were having dinner at home, just pasta and wine, nothing special. I brought it up in a calm way. I told her Tyler felt a little too present in our relationship lately. There were weekly dinners with him, late-night calls, and private jokes I was never part of. She put down her fork and looked at me in a way I had never seen before. Cold, flat, detached. "My ex is staying in my life," she said. "Deal with it or leave." I just stared at her. There was no comfort in her voice, no effort to meet me halfway. No sign that my feelings mattered at all, just an ultimatum delivered like she was reading a grocery list. That kind of sentence tells you a lot. It is not a boundary when only one person gets a say. I let the silence sit there for a second, then I smiled. "I choose option 3, I said quietly. She blinked. "What? You'll see." The next morning, I texted Tyler. "Hey man, can we grab lunch?" "Just the two of us. I think we should talk," he replied in minutes. "Yeah, sure. Everything okay?" "Let's talk in person," I said. We met at a diner halfway across town the next day. He looked nervous the second he walked in. He kept fidgeting with his phone. I ordered coffee. He ordered nothing. He leaned forward and said, "Look, if this is about me and her, I swear it's not like that." I raised a hand. "I'm not here to accuse you. I just want to understand something. You two were together for 4 years. You broke up 2.5 years ago, so why are you still everywhere?" He let out a long breath and rubbed his face. For a while, he said nothing. Then he looked at me and said, "She didn't tell you, did she?" My stomach dropped. "Tell me what?" He looked me right in the eye. "We didn't break up because we fell out of love. We broke up because I found out she was seeing someone else, a guy from her gym. She told me it was emotional, not physical, but I didn't believe her. I ended it, blocked her everywhere." I felt my chest tighten. "So why are you back in her life now?" I asked. "She reached out about 6 months ago," he said. "Told me she was in therapy, said she was working on herself, wanted to apologize. She said she had changed. I forgave her because I don't know, maybe I'm stupid. We started talking again as friends." He stopped there. "Then what?" I asked. He looked embarrassed. "Then she started asking me for money." I stared at him. "Small amounts at first, 50 here, 100 there. She said work was slow and she was struggling. I felt bad, so I helped. Then it kept happening. About a month ago, she asked for $2,000 and said it was an emergency. I told her no. She got weird about it, started guilt-tripping me, said I owed her because I abandoned her after the breakup. My mind was racing. She had never told me she was having money problems. We split rent and bills evenly. She always acted like things were fine. "Did you give her the $2,000? I asked. He shook his head. "No, that's when I started pulling back, but she kept texting, calling, even showing up at my place. It felt manipulative." That was the moment everything started lining up, not because I had proof of everything, but because the pattern finally made sense. I thanked him, paid for my coffee, and left. I didn't confront her right away. I needed to think. I needed to see how much of this was guesswork and how much of it was real. That night, after she went to bed, I checked our shared banking app. We had opened a joint account for household expenses about 6 months earlier. I hardly ever looked at it because she handled most of the payments. I started scrolling through the statements. There were charges I did not recognize. A Venmo payment to someone named D for $800, another for $600 2 weeks later. Several cash withdrawals, more than one transfer that made no sense for rent, groceries, or bills. I felt sick. This is why financial honesty matters. Once money gets hidden, trust usually is too. The next morning, I called my bank and checked my personal account. Nothing seemed off there, but I changed my passwords and turned on two-factor authentication anyway. I was not going to wait for a bigger surprise. When she got home from work that evening, I was sitting on the couch with my laptop open. "We need to talk," I said. She set down her purse and crossed her arms. "About what?" "About money. Specifically, where it's going." Her face changed for just a second. It was small, but I saw it. "What are you talking about?" I turned the laptop toward her and showed her the joint account statement. "Care to explain these?" She glanced at the screen and shrugged. "Those are my expenses. I don't need to justify them to you." I kept my voice calm. "We agreed this account was for shared bills. Rent, groceries, utilities, not random Venmo payments." She folded her arms tighter. "I don't owe you an explanation for every dollar I spend. You do when it's coming from a joint account." She gave this bitter little laugh. "You're really doing this over a few $100. Try a few thousand." Her jaw tightened. Then she said, "Fine, you want the truth. I've been helping Tyler. He's going through a rough patch and I felt responsible." "Happy now?" I actually laughed. "That's interesting," I said, "because I had lunch with Tyler yesterday." Her face went pale. "He told me you were asking him for money. He told me you guilt-tripped him for $2,000, so which story do you want to go with?" She didn't answer. She just looked at me like she was searching for a new angle. "Who's D?" I asked. Silence. "Answer me." "It's none of your business," she said. That answer told me more than any confession would have. I closed the laptop. "Pack your things," I said. "You have until the end of the week." She did not leave quietly. For the next 3 days, it was a constant cycle of tears, blame, and pressure. 1 hour she cried and begged. The next hour she called me controlling. Then she said I was abandoning her, just like Tyler did. At one point she even threatened to call the police and claim I had locked her out. I hadn't locked her out. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't touched her things. I stayed calm the whole time. Sometimes the calm response is what unsettles a manipulative person the most. They need chaos to keep control. On Thursday, I got a text from a number I didn't know. "This is Derek. We need to talk." I called right away. He picked up on the first ring. "You her boyfriend?" he asked. "Was," I said. "Who are you?" He paused. "Her personal trainer, or I was, I guess." "Look, man, I didn't know she had a boyfriend until recently. She told me she was single. We've been seeing each other for about 4 months." My blood went cold. "Seeing each other how?" I asked, even though I already knew. He gave a dry laugh. "How do you think?" I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Instead, I took a breath and asked, "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because she owes me money," he said. "A lot of it. She said she'd pay me back for some training sessions I fronted her, plus some other stuff. But she keeps dodging me." Then I saw her Instagram yesterday. There was a photo of you two from a few months ago. That's when I figured it out. "How much does she owe you?" I asked. "About $3,000, give or take." I closed my eyes for a second. "Jesus." Then I said, "She's moving out this weekend. Good luck getting your money." By then, there was nothing left to debate. Not really. Sometimes the truth arrives in pieces, and by the time the last piece shows up, the decision has already been made. Friday came. I took the day off work to make sure she actually left. She showed up around noon with a friend in a U-Haul. They carried her stuff out in silence. I didn't help. I just stood in the doorway and watched. At one point, she looked like she wanted to say something. Maybe she expected one last argument. Maybe she thought I would break and ask her to stay. I didn't. When the truck was almost full, she turned to me and said, "You're going to regret this." I smiled. "Doubt it," I said. Then she left. I changed the locks that afternoon. It has been 2 months now. Tyler reached out last week and thanked me for exposing the lies. He said he felt stupid for trusting her again. I told him we were both stupid, but at least we learned something. Derek never got his money back, as far as I know. I saw her on Instagram once through a mutual friend. She had already blocked me, but from what I saw, she was dating someone new. Poor guy. As for me, I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. Once she was gone, I realized how much energy I had spent trying to keep the peace. I was always managing her moods, questioning my own judgment, and trying to be the easygoing boyfriend while she moved the rules around whenever it suited her. That kind of relationship wears you down slowly. You do not always notice it while you are in it. A few people later asked why I didn't go to the police over the joint account. The truth is simple. The amount was bad, but not bad enough for the fight that would come with it. I wanted a clean exit more than I wanted revenge. I kept screenshots of everything, protected my accounts, and moved on. Some people also asked if I warned the new guy. I didn't. Not my circus, not my monkeys. And that brings me back to what I said that night at the dinner table. Option 3 was never revenge. It was clarity. I stopped arguing with someone who had already shown me who she was. I stopped asking for honesty from someone who only used it when it was useful. I stopped trying to be understanding when understanding was being used against me. That was the real turning point. If I took a few lessons from all of this, they would be these. First, if someone tells you to accept a situation that clearly disrespects you, do not confuse that with maturity. Being calm does not mean being blind. Second, when a partner wants full trust but gives no transparency, that is not a healthy relationship. Trust cannot only go one way. Third, pay attention when your instincts keep speaking up. You do not need a courtroom-level case before you admit that something feels wrong. Fourth, hidden money problems are rarely only about money. They usually point to deeper dishonesty. And fifth, walking away without a big scene is still strength. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is leave quietly and mean it. What would you have done in this situation? And have you ever dealt with someone who called it a boundary when it was really just a way to hide the truth?